Good day everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your favorite math channel, I believe. In this video we are going to be looking at this 2014 past question for IGCSE, and we're going to try as much as possible to solve all the questions on this paper. As you can see, it is a 2.5 hours question. It's paper 4, no, October-November 2014 IGCSE Mathematics. Without wasting much time, let's go ahead. As we approach each question, you can pause the video, give it a try before looking at how I have solved it. Okay, let's go. So the very first question we have here shows a trapezium. We are being asked to find the length of AD, which is this diagonal side here, this slant side rather. We're asked to find the size of AD, and we're also asked to find the size of angle BCD. This is BCD. So this angle right here, we're going to be calculating for that angle, and we're going to be calculating for angle BCD as well. Angle BCD, like I said, yeah, we are calculating for angle BCD is 3 marks, and we are calculating for the entire area of the trapezium. And then we're also going to, they say a similar trapezium has perpendicular height 9.4 centimeter. Calculate the area of this trapezium. This is similar shapes, similar area. So we're going to use I'm going to show you how to do that. When you are given a shape and then you are asked to find the area of a similar shape to that given shape. I'm going to show you how to do that, and I believe that is the end of this particular question before we move on to the next question. So let's go ahead and solve, starting from 1a. So for the first one, calculate the length of AD. To calculate for the length of AD, which is this place here, we need to consider the triangle AD. Let's call this place G, for instance. So to consider the triangle ADG, we look at triangle ADG, sorry. So let's consider this triangle ADG, bringing it out. This is ADG. So it means that this side of the triangle is 4.7 centimeter. This place is 2.6. And then we are looking for this place. Let's call this place X. It's quite easy now that I brought out the triangle. We can easily see that we only need Pythagoras theorem to solve for x here. And to solve for x here, since this is the hypotenuse, we can say x squared is equal to 4.7 squared plus 2.6 squared. And that's going to give us 4.7 squared is 22.09. So I have 22.09 plus 2.6 squared. That's 6.76. So this gives me 6.76. So adding the two together, I have 28.85. So here is 28.85. So x squared is 28.85. You already know what to do here. Just find the square root of both sides. So the square root of 28.85. By my calculator, that gives me x equal 5.37. 5.3712. Because this is an IGCSE paper, you are supposed to leave your answer to 3 significant figures, and that is x is equal to sorry, x is equal to 5.37. So here is simply 5.37 to three significant figures. Now we are asked to also find the size of BCD. That's angle BCD. The angle at the center is what we are looking for. When they give you something like this, the letter at the center is the angle you are usually looking for. So BCD is this angle here. So let's call this place theta. To find theta here, we are going to consider this triangle. Let's make this like this. I need to like complete this like this, because this is the height of the triangle, this is the height of the triangle, so this place must also be 4.7. Now one important thing to notice here is from here to here is given as 2.6, but we don't know the value of this place. Let's call it anything. We can say y, for instance, but the entire length is 17. So some of us already know what to do from this information. If the entire length is 17 and this place is 2.6, we can see that the fact that this line is parallel to this line, we can deduct that if from here to here is 11, then here must be 11. So out of 17, we have already been given 2.6 and 11. That's 13.6. So 17 minus 13.6, that should give us, is it 3.4? 3.4 centimeters. So y is 3.4 centimeters. I don't know, my decimal is not working. 3.4 centimeters. Okay. So from here now we can find theta. We can go straight to our trig ratio, which is using SOHCAHTOA. Using SOHCAHTOA, I can use what am I? Opposite and adjacent. Opposite and adjacent. That's tan. So I can use tan. So I'm going to say tan theta, for instance, is equal to, the opposite here is 4.7. Opposite is the side facing the angle we are looking for. Then we already know the longer side is the hypotenuse, so the other side invariably is the adjacent. So over 3.7, 3.4. So tan theta is equal to, when you divide 4.7 by 3.4, that gives me 1.3823, because what we have at the end is 5, or I can just write 5 since it's not the final answer. Then to get theta, you just do the tan inverse of that, tan inverse of 1.38235, and let me quickly do tan inverse of that, and that is 54. So my theta is 54.1 degree. It's actually 117, but for IGCSE papers, angles are usually left to one decimal place. So my final theta is going to be 54.1 degree. So that solves that for the first two questions. Now let's move on to the next question, sub question, which is Roman figure 3. So the third question says calculate the area of the trapezium ABCD. Okay, let me quickly bring back the diagram. The formula for calculating the area of a trapezium is usually half into sum of parallel sides. If the first parallel side is A and the second one is B, and the height is this. This will be the formula for the area. So the first parallel side is 11 and the second one is 17, and we know that the height is 4.7. So this is a super easy sub question and it is 2 marks. So just go ahead and substitute. So you have 1 over 2 into 11 plus 17, then times 4.7. So this is 1 over 2 into this should give you 28 into 4.7. I know this is 14. So 4.7 times 14. That gives us 65.8. So that's 65.8. That's the area of this trapezium. Don't always forget to write your final answer here. So you have 65.8 centimeters squared. That's the area of that triangle. Now, a similar trapezium, going on to the next question, a similar trapezium has perpendicular height of 9.4 centimeters squared. The trick here is you have the height of the first one, you have the height of the second one. We're going to be using area factor to solve this. An area factor is usually solved by uh, using the scale factor, which is the area of the length given from the first one over the length given from the second one. So I'm going to say, if the length is um, let's say h1, for instance, h1, then over the height of the second one given, which is h2. Now, because it is area factor, you are going to square this and then equate it to the area. So which is area of the first one over area of the second one. So we are looking for the area of the second one here, don't forget. So we are looking for h2. So h1 is 4.7. So I'm going to do 4.7 divided by h2 is 9.4. Then I'll square whatever this result is, equate it to the area we got for the first one was 65.8. 65.8 exactly. It is not 65.8 something, it was exactly. But what I'm trying to say is if it had been 65.8, before we approximated to this final answer, you should use that rough value before you approximated. But in this case, it is exactly 65.8. So I'm going to say 65.8 over 82. So let's go ahead and press this into our calculator. 4.7 divided by 9.4 is 0.5. And when I square that, I got 0.25. So here is a 0.25 equal to 65.8 over 82. So if I go ahead and cross multiply, my 82 is 65.8 over 0.25, and that is 65.8 divided by 0.25, that is 263.2 centimeter squared. So just go ahead and slot it in to the space provided. So that's our final question for question number 1. We can now go straight to question number 2. Let's look at what the second question is saying. The second question says that there are three different areas A, B, and C for sitting in a theater. The number of seats is in each area are in the ratio A to B to C, 11 to 8 to 7. There are 920 seats in area B. Show that there are 805 seats in area C. Write the number of seats in area B as a percentage of the total number of seats. And okay, if the cost of a ticket is given like this in the theater, for a concert, 80% of area B were sold, 3 over 5 of area C were sold. The total amount of money, okay, calculate the number of area. Now, you need to read and understand these questions very well before you can begin to attempt it. I'm going to diligently take you through that so that you have a proper understanding. This is the last question, the sixth question. It says the total ticket sales of this was 5% less than the ticket sales at the previous concert. Calculate the ticket sales at the previous. That is, if in this present concert we are talking about, they made this amount of money, but it was 5% less than uh, the ticket sales at the. We can even quickly go ahead and calculate this, but then we'll be jumping the gun. Let's go back to number 2, the beginning of the question. Okay. The first thing we need to look out for in this question is this ratio here given. So 11, 8, and 7, we need to do sum of ratios. Sum of ratio, and that is simply 11 plus 8 plus 7, and that is 26. 11 plus 15 is 26. So sum of ratio is 26, and they said there are three different areas A, B, C for sitting in a theater. The number of seats in each area are in the ratio A to B to C. So if I'm going to make a diagrammatic representation of that, if this is A, obviously the number of seats here is bigger than the number of seats in B. I don't know if I got that correctly, but okay, let's make this bigger. This doesn't really matter. It's just a pictorial representation of what is happening. And then for C, which is the smallest sitting area, we have 11, 8, and 7. This doesn't mean there are 11 seats here. It means that if the total number of seats in this theater is, let's say for instance, A. Okay, they already use A, so let's use X. The total number of seats in this theater is X. It simply means that 11 over 26, that is 11 out of the total 26 of this X is occupying this position. And if we represent that with this equation, 11 over 26 of X, that's times X, is going to give us, they didn't give us a value for that. It's going to give us a value for A, and then going forward with B, 8 over 26 times X is going to give us the value for B, which is 920. And then the last one, which is 7 over 26 times X, is going to give us the value for C, which also is not is given, but we are asked to show that this is what we will get for C. So the most complete, none of them is complete because we don't have the value for X, but the most appropriate to use to solve for X is this Why? Because the only unknown in this case is x. We have the value for b, we have its fraction. Now we are looking for x. To solve for x, just go ahead and do 8 over 26 times x is equal to 920. So this means that, no, this is 8, sorry. So 8, if I write that very well, that is 8x over 26 is equal to 920. We can go ahead and solve for x here by cross multiplying, so that we have 8x is equal to 920 times 26. And then divide both sides by 8, divide both sides by 8, so that we have that our x, 920 times 26 divided by 8 is 2990. So x, the value for x, capital letter X, I use capital letter X for that, is 2990. What this means is that the total number of seats in that theater is 2990. Then we can now say for C, since that is the question we have been asked to solve for, which is 7, so we use 7 over 26 times what we got for x now, which is now going to be 7 over 26 times 2990. This must give us 805. Go ahead and solve that. You'll see that that is 805. This is how to prove it. And your work is done for A. Okay, Roman figure 2 of the same question 2A says that write the number of seats in area B as a percentage of the total number of seats. We just found out that the total number of seats is 2990. And then we know that the number of seats in area B is 920. So you can simply say this percentage that you're asking you for is equal to 920 over 2990 times 100%. You can either do this, or because we already know the fraction to be 8 over 26, you can also use 8 over 26. 8 over 26 times 100%. You should get the same answer. So let's go ahead and press 920 divided by 2990. That gives me 30.77%. So for this one, for this first one, I got 30.769%. If you do the same thing for the second one, you must also get the same answer. 8 divided by 26, it must give you the same answer, and that is 30.769. So to three significant figures, that is simply 30.8%. The percent is already written here. You don't need to put percentage here again, since the percentage is already written for you here. Okay, so we can go ahead and move on to the next question, which is 2B. So for 2B, we are told that the cost of a ticket for a seat in each area of the theater is arranged as you can see in this table. Now for a concert, 80% of area B, this area, were sold, and 3 over 5 of area C tickets were sold. The total amount of money taken from ticket sales was this. Calculate the number of area A tickets that were sold. So the idea we are going to use here is get how much was made from area B and then area C, add it together and subtract it from $35,834. Let me show you what I mean. In the previous question, remember that there were 805 seats for this guy. So it means that you were expected to make, just multiply this by 805. And for this guy, there were 926. 926. So we don't know the number of seats for A. I hope you understand this question though. What we are saying is, what the question is saying is that for each seat costs this for each of the seating areas. So if you are in area A, you pay this for a seat. Area B, you pay this for a seat. Area C, you pay this for a seat. Now, if all the seats were sold out, you are supposed to make the amount of money, which is going to be 805 times each seat, like this for each area. But we don't know the number of seats here, but we can easily get that by subtracting this from 2990. You know, we said the total number of seats is 2990. So if you do 2990, which was the total number of seats as we got from earlier question, minus 920, then minus 805. This is going to be 2990 minus 920 minus 805. That's 1265. So you have 1265. So this is 1265. So the stress on this question seems to be much, but when you look at the amount of mark attached to it, you should be motivated. There is a whooping 5 marks attached to this question, and that should motivate you to give it your best possible shot. So for each area now, we can calculate the total expected amount of money. So by multiplying this should give us, let me go ahead and multiply that. Okay, so you have those values as expected for all the seats if they were sold out. Now for a concert, 80% of area B tickets were sold out. That is, from this total income, they made 80% from it. And from area C, they made 3/5 of this. So we need to add it together. So 80% of, let me write it here. 80% for B, 80% is 80/100 of 13800. And for C, 3/5. 3/5 of that, 3/5 times 18, 112.5. So let's see for the first one. So that's 80 times 138. And that's for the first one, 11040. And then for the second one, 0.6 times 18112.5, and that is 10,867.5. So this is the amount that was sold, and if we go ahead and add it together, this will give us plus 11040. That is 21,907.5. So this is what they made from the sales of those tickets. And they now said the total amount of money taken from ticket sales was this. We're almost done with this solution. The total number of ticket sales for area B and area C resulted into this amount. But the total amount spent on tickets was $35,834. So we need to remove what we just got from the total amount spent. And if we do that, so we say minus 21,907.50. This would give us 13926, 13926. This is what was made in area A. So this is the amount in dollars that was made from area A. Let's now find the number of seats, because the question said calculate the number of area A tickets that were sold. So how many seats were sold? Just go ahead and divide this number by the amount each ticket is sold. So that gives us 13926.50 divided by 11.5. When you do this, you should get 1211. And that is your final answer. You see how easy it is. Understanding the question is the most important thing. And after that, you can, in fact, your brain will help you with the analysis once you understood the question. And because it is 5 marks, it is totally worth it. Let's move on to the next question, question number 3. All right, moving on to the last and final question under this question number 2. They said the ticket sales of $35,834 was 5% less than the ticket sales at the previous concert. Now find the ticket sales at the previous concert. So for this previous concert, let's imagine that a total of X dollars was made. So we are saying that 35,834 was actually less than this X by 5%. That's a pretty simple question, and I'm surprised they gave it 3 marks. But let's go ahead and see what we can do. So for it to be 5% less, it means we now have this is exactly 95% of whatever they made at the previous concert. How did I get 95%? Whatever amount you are talking of here, let's assume it is always assumed that it is at 100% since it's our reference point. So less 5%, which we just obtained. That is how I got my 95%. So they are saying that 95%, which is 95 over 100 of the previous concert, is going to be this new value, which is 35 rather. 35 834. Let me make it clear. So I'm saying 95, if I multiply this, that's 95x over 100 is equal to 35834. Let's go ahead and cross multiply. This means that 95x is equal to 3583400. Divide both sides by 95. Divide both sides by 95. Whatever you get from here is your final answer. By my calculator here, 3583400 divided by 95. What I'm getting here is 3720. So that means the ticket sales from last concert is, you don't need to put the unit sign again, it's already written here for you. So you have 37720. If you like, you can put 0.00, but it's completely unnecessary. So your final answer is 37720, and you got your full 3 marks for that. We can now move on to question number 3. So far, I have tried to explain each question, given every necessary details you need to understand the solution processes. But if you think I've been moving too slow, or maybe it has been too fast for you, of course you can pause the video at some point. But if I'm moving extremely too slow for you, please let me know in the comment section for my subsequent solutions. or if you have some suggestion as well, please kindly use the comment section to reach out to me. If you feel there's also some kind of question you would like me to solve, kindly reach out to me. You can use any of my social media contacts to get through to me. You can use the comment section as well. And remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. And give this video a thumbs up and share with some of your friends that may need it. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. Moving on. This question number 3 is on circle geometry. It's on circle geometry, and we are asked to find the sizes of the following angle. The first one is angle DAC, which is this angle here, DAC, and we are to give reason for whatever value we have got. And also DOC, which is the angle at the center. We're also to give reason. Angle BCO as well, and give reason. And then the next question, which is B, asks us to find. We are going to go through all of this just for you to know what to expect. That's why I'm giving you this. Calculate angle BAC, and that's the last question under this circle geometry question. So without wasting much time, let's begin. Okay, like I said, this is circle geometry, and to find the size of angle DAC, we need to recognize where DAC is, starting from D up to A, then back to C. So we are looking for this angle here, DAC. If you compare it with angle DBC, you will see that they both originated from D and C. So this one is DBC, while this is DAC. As long as they originated from the same source and both are touching the circumference of the circle, they are called angle in the same segment. So these are angles in the same segment. And because they are angles in the same segment, they are exactly the same in value. So this must also be 52. Angles in the same segment. That's that for this particular question. Let's scroll down to the second one. So we're also asked to find DOC. DOC is angle at this center here. Okay, there's a theorem that says that angle at center it's twice angle at circumference. Angle at center is 2 times whatever the angle at the circumference is. So if the angle at circumference is 52, so you say 2 times 52 to get the angle at center, which is DOC. And that is going to be 2 times 52 is definitely 104 degrees. So this is 104 degrees, and it is angle at center. So simply write angle at center. So you have 1 mark for the value and 1 mark for the reason. So BCO, we are looking for this angle here. So let's call this angle theta. It's going to be a bit trickish, but let's just see what we can do with this angle. If I go ahead and I'm looking for BCO, okay, I was going to go through a very long process before I realized that this is a radius. This line is a radius. This is a radius. And the fact that this is a radius and the question said CE is a tangent, that quickly brings to mind that the angle between a radius and a tangent is 90. The angle between radius and tangent is 90. So if you don't know that today, you must have learned something now. So if the angle between radius and tangent is 90, it simply means that all of this place here, from the radius line to the tangent line, is supposed to be 90. But out of that 90, we have 56. So if we go ahead and do 90 minus 56, that will give us our theta. So 90 minus 56 is 34. So theta is 34 degrees. Initially what I wanted to do was to complete this triangle and from there, but then that would be a very long waste of time. What brought me to order was this mark. If the mark is 2 marks, why should I go through all those stress? It means there's something I'm not saying. So thank God I saw that on time. And that is how you should also, in your exams, use the marks given to guide your solution process. Imagine if a question has 1 mark and you're like a question we solved earlier, if you noticed, you can rewind to check. I think the mark allocated was 1 mark, but then the course of the solution was long. But that was because I was trying to explain for you to understand it. Normally, it shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds to solve a 1 mark question. That's the way it is to save time and be able to finish up and get your rightfully deserved marks. All right, that's the end of this question. Let's move on to the next sub question under number 3. But before then, you should remember to write your final answer here, which is 34 degree, and angle, you can just write angle between radius and tangent. It's as simple as that. Now, what we started from was quite easy for this question, but if you look at this B part, you see that it gets a bit complicated, but it's not actually. It is 4 marks, so you need to work for it. And it simply requires you to identify the given parameters. They say CE is 8.9, so this is 8.9 centimeter. And then CB, which is CB, is 7 centimeter. So this is 7 centimeter here. They now said calculate BE. So let's call this place small letter C because this place is capital letter C. We are given this angle to be 56. Find C or BE. To find BE, you should be able to see that this requires you to use the cosine rule. So how do you use the cosine rule? The formula for the cosine rule says A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. And since we are looking for this small letter C, I'm going to write that as forget about what variables I have used to define the formula here. Let's just go ahead and substitute what we have here. The most important thing to remember is that if you are starting with this side, then this angle here must be this angle here. That's the way it is. So I'm solving for C. This is going to be C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos C. So let's go ahead and substitute. We are looking for C, so that's C squared is equal to 7 and 8.9 will be our A and B respectively. So I have 7 squared plus 8.9 squared minus 2 into 7 into 8.9, then cos 56 degrees. So let's go ahead and punch some calculator values into this. So this is 49 plus 8.9 squared is 79.21. 79.21 minus, that's going to give me 14 times 8.9. 8.9. For this, I am getting 124.6 times cos 56, and cos 56 is 0.5592. Okay, let's study that out. So I have a c squared is 49 plus 79.21. That's 128. So I have 128.21 minus 124.6 times 0.5592. That's 69.67632. Okay, so c squared is, let's subtract this, 128.21 minus all of that will simply give me 58.53368. So we're getting there. So c is obviously the square root of this. When you take the square root of both sides, the positive square root of that, 58.53368. So the square root of 58.53368 is giving me 7.6507. To one decimal place, because here I have 8.9, so that is 7.7. But IGCSE, you're supposed to get three significant figures. So 7.65. So this is 7.65. All right, so that settles that for that. You get 4 marks for doing all of this, and it's pretty simple. The backbone of this question is the formula, which you should try to commit to memory. The question also said calculate for BEC. Angle BEC, starting from BE and then onto C, is this angle here. So let's call this alpha. So to get alpha, you can use sine rule for this, since you have this side and you now have this side as well. You can still use cosine rule to solve this, but it's way simpler to use your sine rule. So to use sine rule, remember sine rule says using ABC for each side of the triangle is going to be A over sine the angle facing A equals to B over the sine of the angle facing B equals to C over the sine of the angle facing C. So since we don't know angle B, this is not given, but we are looking for this, and this is given. We can go ahead and use this side and its angle, and then this side and the angle we are looking for. So let's say this is whatever this is. Let's just go ahead and substitute that. So I'll have alpha sine alpha, or 7 over sine alpha, is equal to C. The value we got for C is 7.6507, the full raw value, which is this. So you have 7.6507 over sine 56. So if I tidy this right hand side, I'm going to get 7.65 0.7 divided by sine 56, and that is 9.2284. So what this means is that 7 over sine alpha is equal to 9.228. I can 2284. I can cross multiply here so that sine alpha is equal to 7 divided by that value, 9.2284, and that is going to be 7 divided by that 0.7585. So this is sine alpha. To get alpha, just find the sine of this value. So alpha is going to be the sine inverse of 0.7585. And by my own calculator here, sine inverse of 0.7585 gives me 49.3. 49.3321, but to one decimal place, that's 49.3 degrees. See how easy it is. And the mark for this is 3. So doing all of this will also fetch you 3 marks. So that's 7 marks for just question 3B. So that's the end of question number 3. Let's move straight to question number 4. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, kindly hit the subscribe button. Remember to give this video a thumbs up so that it can go reach more audience. Thank you so much. Question number 4 now. This question 4 is a probability question, and it says that Young and Arvin compete in a triathlon race. The probability that Young finishes his race is 3 over 5, and that of Arvin finishing the race is 2 over 3. Now, which of them is more likely to finish the race? That's a really simple question, and you can see they gave it just 1 mark. And then they said find the probability that they both finish the race. So we'll see how to solve that in a minute. But then let's see other parts of the question. They also said find the probability that only one of them finishes this race. And this bit part of this question gives us a tree diagram. We are asked to complete this. This is basically simple to do. But here we are then asked to calculate the probability that Young finishes all 3 of his races, and also the probability that Young finishes at least one of the races. This is where the major work is. The other ones are considerably simple to do. But without wasting much time, let's go back to the beginning and quickly see how to solve this. So which of them is more likely to finish the race? There is not much to do other than to compare the fractions. Which of the fractions is greater? This is probability. Which of them has more, a higher probability of finishing the race? If I convert this to decimal, it is much more easier to see. This is 0.6, while this is 0.667. Of course, this is greater than this, so Arvin is much more likely to finish the race. Arvin, sorry, that is Arvin, because he or she has a higher probability. or chance. Now find the probability that both finish the race. So for them to finish the race, just go ahead and do 3 over 5 for the first person and 2 over 3 for the second person. I emphasize that and because they said both of them. So for both of them, we are using a and in probability, and simply means multiplication. So we say this is 3 over 5 times 2 over 3. So the probability of both of them finishing the race is 2 over 5. Or it could have been 6 over 15, which is still the same thing as 2 over 5. So this is 2 over 5. Or any equivalent fraction to this. Okay, let's move on to the III question. So the III question says, find the probability that only one of them finishes the race. So if it's only one of them, so it's either Young finishes the race and Arivin didn't, or Arivin does finish the race but Young doesn't. So that's going to be, let me use their letter. So Young finishes the race and Arivin does not. Arivin does not. Or Arivin does and Young does not. The understanding is that only one of them finishes the race. So for the first situation, if Young finishes as 3 over 5 and means times, Arvin does not means 1 minus he does. This is going to give us 3 over 5 times 1 minus 2 over 3 is 1 over 3. So that's 1 over 5. 1 over 5. For the second situation, if Arvin does, Arvin is 2 over 3, then times Young does not. Young is 3 over 5, so 1 minus 3 over 5. That gives us 2 over 3 times 1 minus 3 over 5 is 2 over 5. And that is 4 over 15. So if we go ahead and add these two together, that is 1 over 5 plus 4 over 15. By LCM and all of that, this will simply give us 7 over 15. And this is your final answer for this question. All right, let's move on to the next question. This next question is still following from what we did earlier, but now we have two more races. So there are a total of 3 races to be completed by Young. Okay, so the first race was the one we discussed earlier. So in the second race and in the third race, we have the probability of 6 over 7 and 7 over 10 respectively. So we are just supposed to complete this. So if he finishes the race for the first one, is 3 over 5. And if he does not, the probability of him not finishing the first one is going to be 1 minus him finishing, and that's 2 over 5. So here's 2 over 5. The same thing here for the second one, him not finishing will be 1 over 7. 1 minus 6 over 7, 1 over 7. And him not finishing here also, 1 minus 7 over 10 is 3 over 10. So 3 over 10, 3 over 10, like that, like that. Okay, so let me move on up. So this is 2 over 5, right before 1 over 7, 3 over 10, 3 over 10, Just fill up this place as usual. You have your 3 marks. Now calculate the probability that Young finishes all of the 3 races. So for him to finish all of the 3 races, it's going to be the probability that he finished the first one, which was given as 3/5, and that he finishes the second one, which was given as 6/7, and he finishes the third one, which was given as 7/10. So like I said, this and simply means multiplication. So go ahead and multiply them together. If that is multiplication, we then have 3/5 times 6/7 times 7/10. So this cancels this. We have 2 here, 3, 2 here, 5. 3 times 3 is 9/25. So the probability that Young finishes all 3 of his race is 9/25. So that's the end of that. Now, the most delicate of all these questions is this last one, which is calculate the probability that Young finishes at least one of the races. Now, the understanding from here is that there are 3 races. Let's say race A, race B, race C. So it's either it finishes race A and it doesn't finish race B and C, or it finishes race B and it doesn't finish A and C, or it finishes race C and it doesn't finish A and B. That's the first scenario. First scenario, let me write it that way. First scenario finishes only one because they said at least. So it's either it finishes one, or it finishes two, or it finishes all 3. So first case scenario, it finishes only one, only one. And second case is it finishes only 2 of the races. And then third case scenario is it finishes all 3. It finishes all 3. To finish all 3 is super easy. Uh, we already calculated that. Calculate the probability that Young finishes all 3. That's already 9/25. So that it finishes only 1 and 2 is what we now need to, calculate, and that might be a bit trickish. Just come along with me as I show you what to do. From the way we have shown earlier, him finishing first race, the probability of that is 3/5. Not finishing is 2/5. The second one, finishing is 6/7. Not finishing is 1/7. For the third one, finishing is 7/10. Not finishing is 3/10. Okay. So we are going to look at a couple of combinations that it only finishes one of them. So for the first one, we are going to have something like, let's say it finishes only the first one in this case. So we are going to have 3/5, then times the probability that it didn't finish the remaining 2. So that's going to be 1/7 and 3/10. So that's 1/7 and 3/10. So that's the first case. It could be that it finished A. So what if it was B it finished and it didn't finish A? So if it didn't finish A, that's 2/5. So you say plus 2/5. Then it finished B, that's 6/7. So times 6/7. Then times, it didn't finish C. So that's 3/10. 3/10. Then lastly on this first case, so let's imagine now that it is the third one that he finished. He didn't finish the first 2. So if he finished the third one, so that means he didn't finish the first one, which is 2/5, the second one 1/7, and then he finished the third one 7/10. So this will be 2 over 5 times 1 over 7, then times, he finished the last one, which is 7 over 10. So that's the first case scenario. So second case, he only finished 2. So let me readjust this. So using ABC like I used earlier as the races, so it's either he finished, for this second scenario, it's either he finished A and B, or B and C, or A and C. So it's either I finish race A and B, or race A and C, if you can put it that way, or race B and C. Okay, so for him to finish A and B, probability of A and B is 3 over 5 and 6 over 7. So that is 3 over 5 and 6 over 7. Of course, he failed, he didn't finish the last one, so that's 3 over 10. Or AC, you finished the first and the last, which is 3 over 5 times 7 over 10. But he failed, he didn't finish the second one, which is 1 over 7. Then lastly, B and C. We finished B and C, 6 over 7 times 7 over 10. But I didn't finish the first one, which is 2 over 5. So we are going to calculate all of this and then add the three of them together. This is another situation, don't forget. So we can just pause this video and quickly analyze each of these so that we won't take much time. So I have analyzed each of the brackets, and in this first bracket, for the first case only, everything simplifies into 9 over 350. Everything in the second one simplifies into 36 over 350. And this is 2 over 5 times 1 over 7 times 7 over 10 gives us 14 over 350. So I wrote everything here on the upper left hand corner, and that also simplifies into 59 over 350. The second case, the first bracket gives us 54 over 350. You can pause the video to also confirm these values, and you have 54 over 350, 21 over 350, 84 over 350, which I have also critically analyzed here, and everything sums up to 159 over 350. And then the third case, which was what we got earlier, 9 over 25, is the same thing we got here. Now, to make everything the same as 350 at the denominator, so I went ahead and changed this 9 over 25 to its equivalent fraction, which is 126 over 350. Okay, so we can then go ahead and add up these three values: 59 over 350, 159 over 350, and then 126 over 350. That whatever we get from there will now be our final answer. So this gives us, therefore, say 59 over 350 plus 159 over 350 plus 126 over 350. At the end of the day, this should give us, just use your calculator. Since we have the same denominator for everything, which is 350, you can use your calculator to add up everything we have at the numerator, and that is 344. This will be our final answer, but you can still go ahead and break it down to the lowest possible fraction. But you can leave it this way, it's IGCSE, it's still correct. And that's the final answer for this probability question. Let's see if we can still solve the next question in this same video, or we conclude it in part 2 of the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.